He just dude crazy, like, he just talk a lot of shit, and I just like to sit there.
NBA YoungBoy just dropped a real bomb on Birdman, and it's got the streets in shock. He claims Birdman's been using him, pulling strings, and working behind the scenes to hold him back. But that's only scratching the surface. There's way more to this story, and it runs deep. Let's break it down. When the pressure got too heavy, YoungBoy decided to stop holding back and speak on it. The whispers in the streets been there for a while, but no one saw what was coming on June 9th, 2024. When DJ Academics posted that new joint on YouTube, the whole game froze. Tears of War wasn't just another diss track. It was straight-up family drama turned public. Raw emotion turned into music. You could feel the pain in every bar. This wasn't for clout or headlines. This was real-life tension between two people who once called each other family. What made it colder was knowing this was the last record YoungBoy laid down before the feds raided his Utah spot back in April. He was already under pressure, the walls closing in, dealing with legal smoke and industry games. Then finding out the man he trusted, almost like a father, might have been moving foul behind his back. That hit harder than any bullet or bar. The moment that broke the internet was when YoungBoy said out loud what everyone been whispering. He aired it out with no filter, no hidden shots, just straight truth. This wasn't coded, and it wasn't subtle. He went right for Birdman's neck with real talk that cut deeper than any street beef ever could.
How's your relationship blossomed throughout the years?
He just dude crazy, like, he just talk a lot of shit, and I just like to sit there. That's my fire. I like when he pop this shit.
Damn, that old clip hits different now. You can see how green YoungBoy was back then, smiling and saying how he liked when Birdman popped his talk. He didn't realize that all that flash and game talk wasn't real mentorship. It was manipulation, dressed as motivation. Back then, he thought he found someone solid, someone who'd show him how to move right in the industry. But the OG had other plans. Birdman wasn't just building him up, he was grooming him for the long play. Let's keep it 100 about who we're talking about. Brian Birdman Williams ain't no small name in hip-hop. He's been calling shots longer than most rappers been alive. Cash Money Records was his empire, and he built it brick by brick, turning young, hungry artists into platinum-selling machines. His resume speaks for itself. He took Lil Wayne from the projects to icon status, built Drake into a global giant, and helped Nicki Minaj take the throne as rap's first lady. So when Birdman caught sight of YoungBoy around 2018, he recognized that spark immediately. That same raw hunger he saw in Wayne back in the day. YoungBoy from Baton Rouge was blowing up with street anthems and honest pain, songs that hit straight to the soul. But that same fire made him a problem too. He was always dancing on the line with the law, and Atlantic Records was tired of cleaning up the mess. Birdman saw the chaos and the potential, and that's when he made his move.
I think NBA YoungBoy might be the biggest rapper. I said that 5 years ago.
What you mean big when you say big?
Ain't no gonna be bigger than NBA YoungBoy. Numbers don't lie.
Yeah.
He the biggest YouTube artist right now in the world, and he behind the wall.
Birdman laid it on heavy with the praise, calling YoungBoy the next big thing, the future of the whole game. When a legend like Birdman stamps you like that, it ain't just talk. It's like the rap gods handing you a crown. Atlantic Records didn't know how to handle YoungBoy's wild energy, his legal heat, and unpredictable moves. So when Birdman stepped up claiming he'd guide him, it looked like the perfect fix. The OG didn't just come in as a mentor, he played the role of family. He sold the idea of being a father figure to a kid who'd never really had one in the spotlight. YoungBoy came from pain, from Baton Rouge streets where making it out alive is already a victory. So when Birdman came in talking loyalty, family, and protection, that hit home for him. It felt like fate. Their first collab, We Poppin' Off Until Death Call My Name, showed crazy chemistry. You could hear it. The veteran's smooth swagger blending with the young bull's raw, unfiltered fire. Fans could tell this wasn't just a one-time thing. It felt like a movement forming right in front of them. When they later announced From the Bayou in 2018, the city lit up. It felt like Louisiana royalty linking generations. Birdman passing the torch to the next king ready to take over the throne.
You heard me? But I'm just saying, when that little boy get his mind right, and he come from under this bush and understand who he is, because you know, Thug and all them, they up in age. They 30, it's 20.
But you think that going through ain't doing that but helping him to his path to do that, though?
Of course.
Yeah.
They ain't making them nothing but a monster.
Birdman kept spinning that same good talk. telling YoungBoy that all his struggles were just shaping him into something greater. He made it sound poetic, like every legal case, every headline, every ounce of pain was just part of building a monster in the rap game. For a young artist feeling cornered by fame, the law, and his own demons, hearing that from a legend felt like validation, like somebody finally understood him. But that's where the game turns grimy. While Birdman was out here preaching father-son loyalty, the streets were already whispering that something felt off. When From the Bayou finally dropped in December 2021, after endless delays, real ones noticed the energy was off. It sounded more like a straight-up YoungBoy project than a true collaboration. Birdman's name sat on the credits, but his presence? Barely there, people started connecting dots. The same Birdman claiming YoungBoy like family wasn't matching that love in the booth. The energy wasn't equal. And that's when old heads started speaking up, reminding folks how Birdman played the same long con with Wayne back in the day. Lil Wayne tried to level up and Birdman held him down with contracts, lawsuits, and promises that vanished in the wind. Even Wayne tried warning YoungBoy years before. On multiple flows, he said it plain. I told YoungBoy to watch out for the old head. That wasn't shade. That was a vet trying to save a young soldier from learning the hard way. Wayne knew that pain firsthand. He'd lived through the hugs, the handshakes, and then the betrayal, all for a $51 million legal war over unpaid royalties. The lesson was simple. Don't get blinded by gold when the hands holding it are dirty. But when you're young, surrounded by pressure, and someone's promising you the world, those warnings sound distant. YoungBoy wanted a mentor, someone who cared past the music, and Birdman gave him that illusion. Mentorship, connections, fatherly love, all wrapped up in industry gain. As 2022 and 2023 rolled in, Birdman kept up the act. He'd jump on interviews defending YoungBoy whenever podcasts or bloggers like Joe Budden came for him, playing the loyal protector in public. On the surface, it looked solid, like real love between a mentor and protege. But behind the cameras, cracks started showing. YoungBoy began noticing the pattern. The same moves Wayne once warned him about. The promises started fading, the words lost weight, and the love that once felt pure began to feel controlled. The more he saw, the more it hurt. Because realizing your biggest supporter might have been using your pain for profit? That's a different kind of betrayal. By that point, the father figure act was breaking down. The guidance turned into manipulation. The mentorship felt like management with strings attached. And that so-called unconditional love? It started showing conditions, and YoungBoy could feel every single one. That moment of realization hit YoungBoy like a freight train. Finding out the man he trusted with his life and career had been playing him the whole time. For someone who's already survived more pain and pressure than most people could imagine, this betrayal went beyond music or money. It cut deeper than bullets, deeper than jail time. It tore at the one thing he still believed in: loyalty. By early 2024, YoungBoy was already under heavy heat, locked down in Utah, fighting serious federal charges. With nowhere to run, the truth started weighing heavier than his chains. That's when he made the call. If the world was going to talk about him, they might as well hear it straight from his mouth. The pain needed a voice, and he gave it one the only way he knew how: through music. What came out was a 6-minute confession that flipped the whole industry upside down. Tears of War wasn't just another diss. It was a raw, open wound turned into rhythm and rhyme. Every real one in the culture knew it instantly. This was different. There were no empty threats, no fake flexing, just pain turned into poetry. You could feel it! The production set the tone. Dark, haunting, and heavy with emotion. Like his own thoughts echoing back at him in the booth. Then he started spitting, and every bar landed like truth hitting flesh. This wasn't performance, it was therapy mixed with street justice. A young man breaking silence on betrayal. The moment that stopped the culture cold was when YoungBoy dropped the line about Stunna never loving him, and saying he should have listened to Carter. That was the dagger! Real ones caught the meaning immediately. It was bigger than beef. It was a public realization that Wayne had tried to warn him, and now he was living that same pain for himself. Lil Wayne's lesson had come full circle. Wayne had once been the golden child too, promised everything, then left to fight for his own earnings in a $51 million battle that nearly broke him. And now here was YoungBoy, echoing the same heartbreak in his own way. The kid who once thought Birdman was family was now saying out loud what Wayne had been screaming for years. But what made that moment hit hardest wasn't just the truth, it was the honesty. In a culture that equates emotion with weakness, YoungBoy stood tall and showed vulnerability like a badge of honor. He admitted he'd been played, that he'd ignored real wisdom, chasing the wrong kind of love. That's not weakness, that's growth, and the streets could feel it. As the track went on, he painted a chilling picture. Broken promises, loyalty used as leverage, love turned transactional. You could hear the hurt in his tone, that mix of anger and sadness when someone you trusted becomes the reason you can't trust anymore. And knowing it was recorded right before his arrest, that made it hit even harder. You could tell he was emptying his soul before the silence, recording between walls, feeling the walls close in, and turning that pain into legacy. Every bar carried isolation, betrayal, and survival all at once. It wasn't just a song. It was a statement that pain, when faced head-on, can still sound powerful.
You know, a lot of that's like go on in BR, you know, a lot of this stem from New Orleans. You know, that's like where the real gangsters come from. That's where a lot of shit got bloody at first. That's kind of like where we learned a lot of shit from.
This clip hits way harder when you line it up with Tears of War. YoungBoy always had deep respect for New Orleans. He carried that Louisiana pride heavy in his music. But the lessons he learned from Birdman, one of the city's most powerful exports, came with pain he never saw coming. What started as mentorship turned into manipulation, and the game he got taught wasn't the kind he ever wanted to learn. One of the most gut-wrenching parts of that track was how YoungBoy opened up about his own emotional needs, and how they got played against him. The same young man who built a name on raw honesty and street emotion was showing a side of himself fans hadn't seen before. He needed guidance, stability, somebody to believe in him for real. But instead of getting that, he got used by someone he actually loved and trusted. That made the betrayal cut 10 times deeper. Birdman had sold him the dream, protection, direction, and a path to greatness. But it came at a cost. In the song, YoungBoy hinted that Birdman dangled big money deals and powerful connections, only to pull them away when it suited him. Those lines echoed something familiar. The same accusations Lil Wayne once dropped during his long war with Birdman over unpaid royalties and broken promises. It was déjà vu, a whole new chapter in an old story. But what made Tears of War different from any other diss record wasn't rage. It was sorrow. YoungBoy wasn't spitting to destroy. He was mourning. This wasn't about beef. It was about heartbreak. You could feel the sadness dripping through every bar, the kind of pain that no brag or threat could ever match. Then came the most chilling part. The way the song hinted that Birdman had crossed lines outside the music. The lyrics painted a picture of control that reached into YoungBoy's personal life. His relationships, his emotions, his business. It was power disguised as mentorship. That emotional grip was his real weapon. And when YoungBoy connected those dots, the truth hit him hard. Wayne's old warning wasn't just advice. It was prophecy. Wayne had been there before. Same promises, same loyalty, same betrayal. His journey and YoungBoy's were two sides of the same coin. That's why when Wayne tried to warn him, it wasn't hate. It was history repeating itself. And now the whole world could see it. That legal war Wayne once went through suddenly looked like a mirror image of what YoungBoy was facing now. The fact that Wayne had tried to warn him showed he saw history repeating before anyone else did. The production on Tears of War only made it hit harder. Dark, minimal, and haunting. Every pause between words, every break in YoungBoy's voice felt intentional, like pain being laid bare for the world to feel. There was no hiding behind bravado. Every syllable carried emotion. Every silence screamed louder than a drum beat. The emptiness in the mix gave his words room to breathe and burn. You could hear the exhaustion, the frustration, and the heartbreak all sitting heavy in the air. This wasn't about making a hit. This was about healing through confession. Industry insiders caught on quick to what was really being said. If YoungBoy's claims were true, it wasn't just a personal betrayal. It was a glimpse into a pattern that had shaped hip-hop for decades. The idea of powerful figures exploiting hungry new artists wasn't new, but the way he exposed it, with raw emotion instead of anger, made people stop and listen. What made it even louder was Birdman's silence. No interviews, no statements, no clapback, nothing. For a man who built his name on controlling narratives, that quiet spoke volumes. Either the truth hit too close, or he knew that any public response would only prove YoungBoy right. The OG staying silent made fans question everything they thought they knew about loyalty in the industry. The culture reacted instantly, a split right down the middle. Some gave YoungBoy props for his honesty, calling it one of the realest things ever done on record. They saw it as courage, a young artist refusing to be silenced, calling out exploitation from the inside. Others felt uneasy, saying he took family business too far by airing it in public. But one thing everyone agreed on: the emotion was undeniable, and the truth in his tone couldn't be faked. Beyond the drama, Tears of War opened a bigger conversation. What does mentorship really mean in hip-hop? The bond between veteran and rookie has always been complicated. It's supposed to be about guidance and elevation, but too often it turns into control and profit. YoungBoy's experience exposed that thin line. How easily mentorship can twist into manipulation when money and power get involved. For other young artists coming up, this track became a warning. It reminded them that no matter how close you get to a legend, you still need real ones around. People who see the moves you can't, who'll tell you when game's being run on you. And YoungBoy showing that vulnerability, that wasn't weakness, that was leadership. By the time the dust started to settle, it was clear this wasn't just a diss or a rant. Tears of War had become something deeper. An anthem for anyone who's ever been betrayed by someone they trusted. It turned pain into purpose, giving the culture a reminder that keeping it real sometimes means owning your scars instead of hiding them. Tears of War wasn't just a record, it was therapy set to a beat. For YoungBoy, it became a release valve for everything he'd bottled up. But for the culture, it was a wake-up call. It reminded everyone that even the toughest soldiers can get played. That strength isn't about staying silent, it's about admitting the truth, even when it bruises your pride. That's what made the message powerful. He turned pain into power, showing the world that keeping it real sometimes means confessing when you've been used. Then came the moment nobody saw coming, the calm after the chaos. From street war to peace treaty, when Tears of War dropped, the entire hip-hop world froze. Everyone was waiting to see what Birdman would do next. Would he clap back? Drop a track? Fire shots online? The streets were buzzing with predictions, with fans expecting another all-out feud that could split the culture down the middle. But instead of smoke, there was silence. Birdman didn't bite. No subliminals, no statements, nothing. That silence was heavy. Real ones understood what it meant. When an OG like Birdman stays quiet after getting called out, it usually means one of two things. Either he's plotting something massive, or the shots hit too close for comfort. Weeks turned into months, and still no retaliation came. Slowly, it became clear this wasn't going to follow the usual rap beef script. What started as tension began shifting into something deeper, something more grown. The narrative flipped from war to reflection. Both sides started realizing that no amount of pride was worth letting this drag on forever. By the summer of 2025, whispers began spreading that the two were open to talking things out. Fans couldn't believe it. After all that heat, the idea of peace felt unreal. But it showed something major: growth. Two men from the same soil, willing to let go of ego for the sake of what really mattered: legacy, family, and respect. Then came August 2025, the breakthrough moment. Word leaked that Birdman and YoungBoy agreed to meet face-to-face in New Orleans, the city that made them both who they are. That meeting wasn't about cameras or press. It was about closure, truth, and understanding. When it finally happened, insiders described it as emotional and raw. No yelling, no posturing, just two people stripping back the image and talking like men. The same city that birthed their connection became the place where they finally buried the beef. For once, pride took a back seat, and authenticity led the way. Real recognized real, and the culture felt it.
But what I realized what really happened, like, I don't know if it was an argument or whatever, he got in there and he was just like, yo, let's calm this down. Hold on. And he got both of them dudes who seemingly that could have been like a little situation. I don't know if it would be whatever. Just out of respect for him, they were just like, all right, we good. And then that's where I realized that's kind of like his worth, especially to these young dudes.
This clip from DJ Academics, showing Birdman stepping in to defuse a backstage situation, really highlights how layered their relationship always was, even when things were tense. Despite all the drama and betrayal, there was still a quiet level of respect between them. Birdman's ability to walk into chaos and instantly bring order reminded everyone why YoungBoy once looked up to him in the first place. That calm authority, that command of presence, was what originally drew the young artist toward him as a mentor. The road to reconciliation wasn't easy or quick. Both men had scars to heal, and the trust that once came naturally had to be rebuilt from scratch. For YoungBoy, it meant facing his pain head-on, confronting the reality that the person he once called family had cut him deeper than any enemy ever could. For Birdman, it meant looking in the mirror and realizing his moves had genuinely hurt someone he claimed to love. That kind of reckoning takes humility, something not often seen in this game. Over time, their private talks started turning into understanding. According to insiders, the two realized they still shared the same goals: legacy, family, and respect for Louisiana culture. That shared vision mattered more than their pride or past pain. Real ones knew it wasn't about money anymore. It was about closure and mutual respect. Then came the moment that confirmed it for the world, October 2025. Out of nowhere, Birdman pulled up at one of YoungBoy's shows, shocking the whole crowd. The energy flipped instantly when YoungBoy brought him on stage to perform We Poppin'. Their first time ever doing it live together. The crowd lost it. You could feel that chemistry, raw, genuine, and unforced. For a second, it felt like everything had come full circle. Two Louisiana giants reconnecting in front of their people, proving that real bonds don't die. They just need time to heal.
Yeah, but the reason why he gets so much respect is because he's so respectful with people when he meets them.
Nah, he is respectful though.
Yeah, he was respectful. He didn't have to show me the type of love he showed me last night.
This look into Birdman's character explains a lot about how that reconciliation even became possible. After everything that went down, the business disputes, the emotional fallout, the public tension, there was still a core of mutual respect between him and YoungBoy that never fully broke. That respect gave them something real to rebuild from. See, Birdman's reputation in the streets has always been complicated, but when it comes to personal relationships, even his critics admit he knows how to treat people right. That difference between business Birdman and personal Birdman might have been the key. It made folks realize that maybe what went wrong wasn't pure betrayal, but bad communication, unmet promises, and the weight of expectations on both sides. And when they finally patched things up, the payoff showed instantly. Birdman started rolling with YoungBoy on his Make America Slime Again tour, not just performing, but acting as an advisor and protector of his business interests. His presence wasn't for show, it was strategic. It sent a message to the industry that the two were solid again, that the rift was dead and buried. For YoungBoy, having Birdman back in the circle meant more than nostalgia. It meant security. The OG made sure contracts were clean, promoters were fair, and every move was beneficial to the young boss's future. It was the kind of full-circle moment that proved maturity really can turn pain into partnership, and that even in this game, respect still counts for something.
How many more millions we need for that next tour? About 300-400. How much? 300 to 400 million each. 3 to 400. If they ain't talking that, don't even come.
When Birdman started publicly talking about YoungBoy locking in a potential $300-400 million tour deal, it became clear their reunion went way beyond emotions. This was business too. The OG wasn't just patching things up out of guilt or nostalgia. He was putting his decades of experience into play, helping YoungBoy build something massive that could change both their legacies. Birdman's track record for turning artists into commercial powerhouses was now being channeled straight into YoungBoy's empire. The partnership had evolved. It wasn't mentor and student anymore. It was two businessmen aligning for the win. Their reconciliation proved that money and maturity could coexist when both sides understood each other's value. For YoungBoy, it was a lesson learned the hard way. The whole experience taught him boundaries, how to protect his vision, control his narrative, and still keep space for peace when it's real. He learned to demand respect without losing humility, to rebuild bridges without handing over his power again. And for Birdman, it was a wake-up call about his own ways. After past clashes with protégés like Lil Wayne, this was his chance to adjust, to realize that leadership in today's game means guiding without controlling, advising without exploiting. The veteran knew that if he wanted to keep building legacies, he had to evolve too. And this time, he finally seemed ready to do just that.
And he pulled me aside and said, listen, man, on my mother, Miss Gladys, man, we're gonna do this interview, man. I don't hold nothing above that. So I'm saying on my mama, Miss Gladys, who passed away when he was 5, by the way. He said, I'm telling you, we're gonna do this interview, we're gonna get it in. Yeah, we're gonna get it in.
This clip shows just how deep Birdman's personal code runs. When he invokes his late mother's name while making a promise, it's not just talk, it's a vow. That moment reveals a side of him most people never see. A sincerity that goes far beyond business deals and image. That same genuine emotion might have been what made reconciliation with YoungBoy possible in the first place. The public side of their reunion wasn't just for cameras either. It mattered for the culture. In an industry where beefs often turn permanent and pride burns bridges for good, their story showed that growth is still possible. Two men with history and hurt managed to face the tension instead of feeding it, proving that ego doesn't always have to win. For YoungBoy, that peace came right when he needed it most. He was shifting his focus back to music after fighting legal battles, and Birdman's presence gave him structure, access, and power. With the OG back in his corner, he could move smarter, handling his business clean while keeping his creativity sharp. For Birdman, the reconciliation was legacy work. Rebuilding with one of hip-hop's hottest stars put him back in a position of influence, not as a controller, but as a mentor who had learned to evolve. It strengthened his reputation as someone who doesn't just find talent, but helps it grow, even after conflict. The reunion also sparked talk across the industry. Insiders leaked that the two were already discussing From the Bayou 2, a sequel to their first joint project that fans had been begging for. The buzz was instant. People wanted to see if their renewed chemistry could produce something even more powerful now that both men had matured. But beyond the business, the real impact was cultural. Their reconciliation sent a message hip-hop needed to hear, that pride doesn't have to turn into poison, and that real strength comes from forgiveness, not fury. They showed that no matter how deep a rift runs, honest conversation can bridge it when both sides move with sincerity. Their story, from mentorship to betrayal to redemption, became a living example of the complex dynamics shaping today's industry. It proved that mentor-protege relationships can build legends, but only when grounded in respect and communication. And even when things fall apart, redemption is still on the table for those willing to face their mistakes. If you made it this far, you know what it is. Drop your thoughts in the comments, hit that like button, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories that keep it real.